So I get in the theater, I sit down with my popcorn, the movie starts. Okay, what could be the big mystery movie? The production company logo comes on. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. And then it's finally revealed. I'm watching. I'm just kidding, it's Lisa Frankenstein. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or depending on what time you are watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. So about a year ago or so, I noticed that Regal started doing this new thing called Mystery Monday Movies, or something like that. And I don't think it's just Regal, I do think other theaters do it. I think AMC also participates in the same thing. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. You go see a movie, and you have no idea what the movie is. Okay, that's actually kind of a fun gimmick. When you go to the movies nowadays, there's not a lot of mystery anyways. I mean, you pretty much have seen most of the movies already just by watching the trailer. So this at least gives you a little bit of that mystery feeling, you know, going back to the theater and not knowing what to expect. This is actually the second time I've participated in this Mystery Monday movie thing. I did it about a year ago or so, and again, had no idea what to expect. And I get in, and I remember thinking like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's this movie, because they do give you the runtime, so you can kind of look ahead and be like, okay, what movies are coming out within the next month or so that have this kind of runtime. And when that movie started, I saw the Apple TV Plus logo, and I said, oh crap. And the movie turned out to be Zac Efron's The Greatest Beer Run Ever, and I actually really enjoyed that movie. And that got me in this mindset of thinking, okay, so is that what these Mystery Mondays are all about? Is it really just going to be like these Netflix, Amazon, Apple Plus types of movies? So when I went into this one, I was thinking, okay, it's probably going to be one of those types of movies. I was expecting, you know, the Netflix, Amazon, or Apple Plus logo, and it didn't happen. Instead, we got the Focus Features one, and I was like, oh, interesting. And it was started with some animation, which made me think, am I watching an animated movie? And then I finally saw the credits, and it clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm watching Lisa Frankenstein. I was actually planning to watch this movie anyways, so by the time I saw this, the movie's actually coming out like 4 days later, which I thought was kind of interesting that they're doing this so close to the actual release date. I guess I'll start with what I liked about the movie. Probably my favorite part of this movie is going to be the production design. It has a very unique look. I think a big inspiration for this movie was Edward Scissorhands and just Tim Burton in general. This movie is set in this small town Americana, white picket fences, pristine lawns, nice houses, but then also has this kind of gothic, morbid background to it as well. Even part of the story, it's about this young girl in high school who falls in love with this guy who can't talk, and that's basically Edward Scissorhands. The only difference is he's got scissor hands, and Cole Sprouse in this movie does not. He actually has no hand. They do some really interesting things with editing at certain points, especially early on, where there's some unique transitions from scene to scene. She'll go from this house party to this graveyard, and that was actually pretty cool. That's pretty much what I liked about this movie. Besides that, everything else I did not like. And I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with the tone of the movie. I'll give you an example. So this movie's PG-13, and like I said, they go for that Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhands aesthetic, but where I really thought they should have went is with the Tim Burton, Sweeney Todd aesthetic. There are violent scenes in this movie, and you do see a little bit of blood, but I just really thought that this movie could have been more effective if they just really went bloody, gory, and really go into that horror aesthetic that this movie is going for. There's parts of the story that do work. I think one of the best elements is that the main girl, Lisa Frankenstein, is trying to put this guy back together piece by piece. She has to use some sort of electric shock to bring him back. And they do it in a kind of funny, clever way where they use this tanning bed that is established early on that it shocks you. So she uses that every time he gets a new body part. And I thought that was kind of clever. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. It's supposed to be a love story. It's coming out around Valentine's Day. That's where I said this movie tonally is just all over the place, because it's established early on that she has this kind of unique interest in this dead character's grave from 200 years ago, but yet he comes back from the dead, and she's just kind of like, oh, well, I'm not actually that interested in you. And she has this love interest with this other character throughout the movie, which was okay. And then she realizes that she actually was in love with the Cole Sprouse character the whole time, and I'm just like, couldn't she just have always been in love with him? I thought that would have been a little bit more unique, and maybe there was some sort of thought process that they just couldn't be together because he's dead or something like that. It just seemed like it kind of came out of nowhere at the end. All of a sudden she's like, oh, I do love you, when throughout the whole movie, she's infatuated with this other character. That didn't really work for me. This is written by Diablo Cody, who most famously is known for Juno, which is a movie that I think I saw once back in the day. I don't really remember it. It never really stood out to me. I do remember that style of writing. It's that quirky, witty silliness.
Jeez, Banana, shut your friggin' gob, okay?
Was pretty popular back in 2007 when Juno came out. I don't think it really translates too well 17 years later. They try to do it in this movie with the high school kids, and they're trying to be that style, and I'm just thinking like, oh, this is just it just felt so flat to me. And then I want to finish with probably my biggest criticism of the movie, and that is the main character herself, Lisa Frankenstein. I think the biggest problem with this character is the actress that's playing her, Katherine Newton. She's an actress who I really, really liked for a while. The movie that made me think like, oh, she's really good and I like her is the movie Freaky, where she basically has to pretend to be the serial killer, 6'5" Vince Vaughn throughout, and she did a great job in that. So she was an actress that I was like, yeah, I really like her. She's pretty good. She's up and coming. And then something happened. Well, that something was called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which came out about this time last year. And I was never into the idea of her playing Cassie Lang. I do think she is one of the worst parts of that movie, but still not the worst part.
I'm such a dick.
And then to follow up on that, there's been a trailer that's been playing a lot in theaters for this new movie coming out in a few months called Abigail, which I'm actually pretty excited for. It actually looks really good. It's from the filmmaking team Radio Silence, who did the last 2 Scream movies. But every time I see that trailer, I always see the Katherine Newton character, and I'm just thinking, oh, she looks like she's going to be annoying. I can tell she's going to be my least favorite character in this movie. And then we get to Lisa Frankenstein, and I just thought she was miscast in this movie. She's supposed to be this loner loser in the beginning, and then she turns into this hot gothic kind of chick who has this like kind of unique style. It felt so abrupt. And again, I just think she was miscast in this role. I think you could have found somebody a little bit better to play it, somebody a little bit quirkier. Because I think the idea is they're trying to go for that like teenager Winona Ryder, somebody that maybe could deliver better like deadpan humor. Because so much of the humor that she was trying to do in this movie, it wasn't working. And when the biggest criticism of the movie is the lead actress and the lead character, that's not good. Anyways, that's my take on Lisa Frankenstein. This mystery is now history.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!